Hello everyone and welcome to this new episode in which we are going to cover the details component and the delete action in our company list. So in the last episode we worked on the edit, we worked on the create, and we finished the list. We're going to tweak the list a little bit to introduce the two actions, the buttons that gets us to the details of the company, and another button to delete a company and refresh the list after the deletion. So we're going to start by adding these two buttons, and then we're going to work on the actions. So I go to my code, then go to my company list HTML file, and I'm going to introduce two new buttons here. One of them would be the details. So this is going to be details button, and that's going to route us to the details route with the ID of the company. And then we're going to have a third action, which is the delete. So we are going to confirm the deletion, then using a dialog, of course. Then after the confirmation is done, we can delete. So this method here will just call a function on a delete click, let's say we call it. And then I'm going to send the element. So that's it for that. And I'm going to declare this function. So let's just declare it. And I can head over here and see that the function is declared there. So here we are going to confirm and then delete in case the user confirms the deletion. So this is actually going to be a company that I'm going to receive there. I'm going to change the name here to company, and then here I need to confirm the deletion before. So confirm the deletion and delete if confirmed. And we're going to use the Mat-Dialog to confirm that. So now if I go back to my list of companies, I can see the three buttons added. Of course, I will have to introduce some padding between them. So to do that, I can just say div, add a div here with the class. The display of that div is flex, and then I will have a gap of 2, let's say. So these are bootstrap classes that are ready to be used. So now we will see that there is a small distance between the buttons. And of course I need to change the color of the delete button to be worn. So from where I get that, it's actually from the material. So if you go, you will have the color here, I think somewhere. Let's go to 17. So as you can see, the worn will be a red button actually. So that's it. Now if I go back to my application, you can see that it's in red right now. And then when I click, nothing happened actually. We're going to introduce a dialog to confirm the action before we delete. And to do that, we just need to import the dialog, Mat-Dialog here. It's called Mat-Dialog module. And it's actually coming from Angular material. So we go to dialog, and then from there you can get the library or the module responsible for creating or showing dialogs. So that's that. Then I'm going to create a dialog within my list. So I have to start with the templates. I'll just have a command here, deletion, confirmation, dialog. And this is going to be an ng template that is going to appear within the dialog. So I have to tag it with hashtag delete dialog, let's call it. And then within that, we will have the title. So we are going to have h3, let's say, and it's called Mat-Dialog title, delete a company. And then we will have our confirmation message. So it's going to be Mat-Dialog content here. And this is where I'm going to say, are you sure you want to delete the company with a question mark? Then I'm going to have my action. So it's div Mat-Dialog actions. This is my template that will appear when I click on delete button. So I'm going to have some action. I will just align them to the end, so they will appear on the right side. Then I'm going to have two buttons here. So one of them would be the confirmation, and the cancel, or the cancel and the confirmation. So I'm just going to remove this on click here, and I'm going to remove this. So the delete and the cancel. So the cancel would be just a regular button, and the delete would be a a red button. And then here I'm going to introduce the actions. So what happened when I click on cancel? So the answer to the dialog close would be false. So this is going to be used to cancel the operation. And I'm going to introduce this with true value when the user confirms, actually. And I'm going to subscribe to these two action and decide. So if the user confirms or not, and based on that confirmation, I can decide to delete a company or not. So let's try that. Now I have to use the Mat-Dialog to show this dialog. And then once it's confirmed, I can delete or not. If it's cancelled, if it's confirmed, I have to delete. If it's cancelled, I will just close the dialog. So to do that, I'll have to have a reference. So it's going to be view child, that reference, that dialog. And I'm going to call it, or to reference to the hashtag name that I have put here, which is a dialog, delete dialog. And it's going to be of type any. So my delete dialog is actually this, and then I'm going to use the service. So I have to inject it here. So it's called Mat-Dialog. So private Mat-Dialog, let's call it. And we're going to inject Mat-Dialog. It's actually a service that is going to be used to show a dialog. So now I will use this service to show the dialog. So I will say open. Then I can decide what to open. So I'm going to inject the template, which is delete dialog. Then I will see the action. So once I open the dialog, I need to subscribe to the actions that the user take when he sees or she sees the dialog. So it's going to be a function that is called after closed. What happened? Then I'm going to get the confirmation. Let's say confirm it, let's call it, and that's the confirmation that we're going to. So we need to subscribe to this, by the way. So it's a function subscribe. Then I get to resolve the confirmed. So if this confirmed is true, meaning that the user confirms the action. If this is false, the user cancels the action. And from where we get this, it's actually when I injected the Mat-Dialog close action. So here, when you close with cancel, the confirmed will be false, so no action will be taken. And then when you click on delete, the Mat-Dialog close action will be true, meaning that this confirmed will be true. And then based on that, you will go ahead and delete the company. So I'll just say if confirmed, meaning that the user wants to delete, actually. So I'll call the function that is responsible for deleting company, which is enter the service. I didn't implement it yet, so I'm going to do it right now. So it's actually like the get by ID, but it's just going to delete, or to do a delete query or operation. So delete, and then I supply the company ID for the deletion, and I go back to use that delete. It's going to be my the selected company, actually, which is this one here, .id. That's what I sent, .id. Then I'm going to subscribe to that and eventually do something. So this is going to resolve into data. And then I'm going to just restart or initialize the data when I delete, just to see the new list of company of the deletion. So to do that, I will need to copy this and put it in another function called initData. It's called initData here. And that function will take care of initializing the company list. Once I delete, I'm going to call it here, and then I'm going to call it here. In case if the operation successfully happened, so meaning that I deleted a company, the new list will be refreshed and the table will be refreshed as well. In case of error, I want just to show an error message saying that the deletion didn't happen or something like that. So I'll just say alert, an error occurred, let's say. Please try again. And of course, we can customize this message by showing another dialog or showing a warning in the UI, so it's up to us to decide. But for now, for simplicity, I'll just show an alert, and then I'm going to show the error message through the console just for debugging purpose. Console, error, then error. So now my delete action is ready to get tested, and we're going to try it right now. So let's go back to the list, then click on delete, see if I'm able to. So I'll just open the console, just goes this one. So now if I click on delete here, you see the confirmation, and then when I say cancel, nothing happens. When I say delete, of course, as we expect, it will delete that company and then refresh the list of company for us. Let's click on delete. As you can see, the company was deleted successfully, and then the list gets refreshed. And what happened is actually the list, like when we delete, we just call the method to reinitialize the list of companies, which goes to the database and then get the new list after the deletion operation. That's it for the delete. So now we can focus on the details. So to do that, we just go and open the application and then go to details. As you can see, I'm able to see the details component, but it's not ready yet. So we're going to do it right now. Let's go to details. And here we're going to show some information about the company. And to do that, we need to get some libraries or some services that we need to use to get the ID from the URL. So I'll just create a variable here called company ID. And that's going to be a type number. So this is my company ID I sent through the URL. And I will have company, which is my actual company. So it's an object. So it's the company mall. And within the constructor, I'm going to inject some services. So private company service, the first one that I'm going to use to get the information about the company. So I'll inject it here. And I will have the activated route. So it's going to be called route, activated route. And I will have the router, which helps me to route back to the list. It's actually the router. I'm going to open up my constructor to start working. Now I'm going to create a new function to initialize the data. So I'll call it init data. And this function will take care of getting the company ID from the URL and fetching the information using the company service from the database. So first, I need to initialize this, which is the company ID is equal to this route dot snapshot parameters of ID. And this is going to give me the company ID. Then I'm going to check if the company ID is available. Is valid. So if not this dot company ID, I'll just going to return and do nothing there. In case I have company ID, I'm just going to use the service to get the company. So get by ID, and then this is going to be my company ID here that is supplied to that function, and I'm going to subscribe to that, and it will resolve on data. Then from the data, like using that data, I'll initialize my company object with that data. And in case of error, I can just console log for now. Console log the error. Console error. Error. That's it. Now I'm going to call this function here in the constructor so that it initializes when the component initializes actually. So now I will just console log the company to see it in the console before we start working on the UI. Company is my data or company. So that's it. Now if I go back and open the console, as you can see, my company, the address and the contacts are there. Now I'm going to work on the UI to show this. To do that, I'm going to head to the HTML content or HTML file. Then I will add, let's say, h3 here to say company details. And then I'll put this into a div of class, let's say, P2 or 3. And then I'm going to start showing the information about the company. So I'll go ahead and create a div class Mat-Elevation to make it a little bit nicer. Mat-Elevation Z2, then with P is equal to 3 if you want. Then I'm going to show the company name using H4. So it's going to be company.name. And this is available only when I have a company, so that I make sure that I don't initialize the Y before initializing the company variable. That's it. So now I can show the address. So I'm going to show the address here. I'll just put H5 probably. So this is the address. I'm going to show it like this. So my company dot address dot street number, then street name, and then city. So we'll show the state if applicable and the country. Then I'm going to show the list of contacts. So let's see the result before we move on. You can see the address is there and the company is there. I'm going to show the so make that a little tighter, a little bigger. So I'll put H4 here instead, and then I can specify the font weight. Font weight bold. This is a Bootstrap class actually. Then I have my contacts. I can show them here. So another div class Mat-Elevation Z2, then with P is equal to 3 or 2, let's say 3 there, and then with H4 with the class font weight bold, I will show the contacts. And to show the contacts, I simply will loop through the list of contacts with a paragraph, a tag or a P tag, ng4 let contact of company.contact. So this is another for loop, if you would, into the contacts. Then I'm going to show them likewise. So let's say contact first name, contact last name, and then I'm going to say email. Email is going to be contact email, and then we'll have the phone similarly displayed. So phone, this is going to be my contact list if I have more than one contact. So go back and check. So as you can see, I have my contact is already there, so I can specify, let's say a different div for the contact. So I can do this, makes it a little appealing there. So I'll say div, and then my div here will close. Then I'll put P2 here if you would, and it will appear a little bit nicer. Let's go back to this. You can see new contact, new first name, and it's going to be called Gates, last name. So I might make this a little bit bigger. So I'll say span class font width or font weight bold, so that it pop up. Now, as you can see, I have this contact, and if I have multiple contacts, I can always see them there. So I'm going to make this H2 so that it appear really bigger than the other subtitles. So here, company details is already there and all good. Now I can introduce the go back button and the edit button in this component. So to do that, I'll just grab them from the list. So I'll have the edit, and I'll have another button to go back. So this is going to be my edit button. So I go back to the details. So edit, and then it's going to be company ID if you want. It's going to be my company ID that I want to edit, and then I'd like to have go back. So I will call it back, and this will go back to the list. So I'll just put companies here. So now if I I have two actions. Of course, I can specify some margin here to make a distance between them, margin and equal to 2. And then I can make this literally a normal button without the need to have colors on it. So now when I click on back, I think I have an issue. Okay, so I have to specify the root correctly. Yeah, I missed the slash here. So I'm probably going to put it inside here. I think I have to introduce some margin to this. Okay, so I'll put it here. Okay, with another div class p3, and then we'll see it on the bottom. It looks nicer there. So now when I click back, it goes back to the company list, and then when I click here on edit, again I have forgot about the slash companies, so I need to introduce the full width or the full route like this. Then it will route back to the company. So once I click on details, okay, let's just refresh here. If I go to details and I click on edit, as you can see, I'm able to edit. When I cancel, just go back to the list of companies. That's it for this tutorial. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and leave a comment below if you have a question, and see you in the next episode, in which we're going to share with you some tips on how to build application and APIs using ASP.NET Core and Angular.